Hi, welcome to week 3 in setting financial goals. Week 1, we talked about what do you want for yourself. Week 2, we talked about weighing your financial goals, really understanding where you're at today, facing the reality of it. Today in week 3, we are going to talk about what could possibly derail you on this journey of really finding the financial success that you want and achieving the goals that are important to you. Often we think about not achieving our financial goals that we didn't earn enough money, or we didn't have an adequate cash reserve, so an emergency came up and we had to use the money. In the last couple decades, I've seen things very differently behind closed doors in my practice. Early on in my career, I learned a very valuable lesson from a young man, and let's call him Joe, who came into my office and he sat down and said, all right, Shannon, I'm here, early 30s, I'm single, I just started saving, but I've got a great job and I've been putting into my 401k. I've got about $30,000 into my 401k. And I was impressed, 30 years old with that much money in a 401k. And he said, it's really important to me because my parents are solely living on Social Security and they're not able to do the things that they want to do. They want to travel and do other things and they're really limited. I don't want to be limited. And I'm afraid I'm going to have to take care of them at some point. So I want to make sure that I really am doing a good job saving for retirement. In addition to that, he had a good cash reserve. He wasn't carrying any debt. His car was older and he said that he needed a new car and he told me exactly what he wanted, but he said he could wait because the car was working and he was willing to wait. So I gave him a list of things that I wanted to see, wanted to talk about further so we could put together a really good plan around all of his goals, not just retirement, but how to get the car and also a house in the next few years. So really putting together a comprehensive plan. So gave him his to-do list and sent him on his way. 2 weeks later, we were supposed to meet back in my office. And he called after hours and left a message for me saying, I'm sorry, not gonna make the meeting, busy schedule, can we reschedule? So we rescheduled. He rescheduled again, called me again after hours. So I called him back when I knew I could reach him and said, hey, Joe, it's Shannon. He goes, oh, hi, I've got a lot going on. I said, Joe, you've pushed your meeting twice. Tell me what's going on. I took a deep breath. And he said, Shannon, I've been avoiding you because I'm embarrassed about what I've done. And I said, Joe, what did you do? And he said, well, after I left your meeting, I was feeling so good about everything that I'd put together. And I went over to my parents' house and I was sharing with my parents that, how well I had done. I hadn't really told them about, how well I was doing financially and putting money away. And they were giving me a little bit of grief and said, you need to live now. You need to buy the car that you want now, and you'll have plenty of time to save in the future. His parents were uncomfortable with his success. He was uncomfortable being financially successful with parents that were struggling. So what did he do? Why was he embarrassed? He was embarrassed because he bought the car. And when I asked him, all right, so you didn't wait, you bought the car now, no problem. What are your payments? Are you still able to save on a monthly basis? He said, well, I did what you said, I paid cash for it. And I said, well, how did you do that? You didn't have enough money. He said, well, I used my 401k. And then I asked him if he was aware that not only was he going to have to pay in his tax bracket between state and federal, which was about 30%, he'd have to pay an additional 10% penalty. So when his tax bill came due for that year, the following year, he would have to pay 40% in taxes on that money. And he didn't have that in cash either. He had no idea. So not only had he gone from being in a position where he had a working car that could have lasted longer, but the emotion of being uncomfortable with his family, he sabotaged himself back into a comfortable position. He was strapped, just like his parents had been their whole life. This is not unusual. So this week, what I want you to do is I really want you to look around your life and think about what would derail you. What are some of the emotions? What are the things that you grew up around money? How do you think that you've been derailed, if you have, on financial goals that you've set to this point? Again, I am a financial advisor. I'm not your financial advisor. Any advice that I give is very general in nature. Please seek out a professional in your area. I'll see you next week for the final installment of this first chapter of Setting Financial Goals. Have a good week.